Hi everyone, I'm Dihua, and finally the day you've been waiting for, and that is the review for my pair of Elite Wheels. Now, who is Elite Wheels? For those of you who are new to them, they are actually a Chinese company that has been producing carbon wheel sets since 2013. But it started off as an OEM company, but in 2015, they released their own brand, Elite Wheels. And since then, they've been producing carbon wheel sets for different disciplines such as road bike, mountain bike, and even gravel bike. Now, I'm sure recently you have heard a lot of reviews flying around about their latest design wheel set, which is the Elite Wheels Drive. Let me give you the inside story of why we actually purchased this wheel set. In the first place, 1.5 years ago, we were still new to cycling and we were riding aluminum bikes with alloy wheel sets. So we are pretty much newbies and just started our cycling journey on road bikes. And we knew that carbon wheel sets will give us a lot of upgrade, but just how much in the performance gain and what are we really getting out of it, we were totally unsure. So we wanted to explore the possibility of carbon wheel sets. And well, of course, with a budget constraint, there aren't much options in the market available for us. Well, we could look for a second-hand wheel set, but again, we were new, so we didn't know what to look out for. And after some research, we found on AliExpress the Elite Wheels. Well, the name sounds good, it's got a lot of good reviews, and it's really kind to our budget. And the model is Elite Wheels SLT. It is rim brake and is 50 mm deep. The most basic model is actually Elite Wheels ENT. But we've got an SLT because it has a better braking surface as well as ceramic bearings. So we thought the difference is not that much, so we go for the SLT instead of the ENT. After 2,000 kilometers of riding, I'm finally ready to give you my review of this pair of wheel set, that is the Elite SLT. Okay, we got the wheels here. I'll first start with the rims. Okay, so what we've got here is a 50 mm rim depth, internal width of 17 mm and external width of 27 mm. That is as stated by the manufacturer's spec. So let's take a look at the actual measurement itself. So for the rim depth, actual measurement is 50.6 mm. For the external rim width, actual measurement is 27.2 mm. As for the internal rim width, 17.3 mm. So we're not far off the manufacturer's specification. The rim is a hook rim. So this is compatible with clincher tires as well as tubeless setup. So Elite Wheels did come with a roll of rim tape that you can install for tubeless as well as for clincher tire setup. The spoke holes, they are evenly drilled, neat and clean finishing. For the rim depth, the available sizes are actually from 38 mm all the way to 88 mm for both front and rear. And the reason why we have chosen a 50 mm deep rim is because after some research, we have come to conclude that most of the cyclists actually feedback is that 50 mm is the all-rounder. So, well, we didn't have a lot of experience with different rim depth, especially for carbon wheel sets. So naturally, we went for the safest choice, which is 50 mm. As for deciding the inner width, well, we started off by considering what type of tire we want to use, and eventually we decided that we want to use a 25 mm tire. And to cater for 25 mm tire, there are actually 4 different options to choose from. The smallest width being 15.7, and we got also 17 mm, 18.5 mm and 19.5 mm. 17 mm seems to be the best choice for us because it actually helps to seat the 25 mm tire better, and at the same time it doesn't add too much weight. The 18.5 as well as the 19.5 mm inner width wheels will mean the weight will also increase by a bit. So having that consideration in mind, we decided to choose the 17 mm inner width. Unknowingly, we were quite fortunate to have chosen the 17 mm rim width, and that means the external rim width is actually 27 mm. Because we are using a rim brake setup, the bike is a rim brake, and my caliper can only accommodate up to 28mm tires, so the opening of the caliper is actually very limited, and now I fit it in. It's just nice to have enough travel for the brake. So if let's say I had chosen something that is wider, I might have a problem fitting these wheels onto my rim brake setup. This is something for you to take note, just to make sure that your forks as well as your calipers can accommodate to the rim width that you prefer to have. Okay, so let's take a look at the exterior of the rim. It is a UD matte finish, and we have chosen a black decal here so that it looks really cool and not so loud. The rim itself is made of a mixture of Toray T700 and T800 carbon. Now, if you look at the brake surface, like I mentioned earlier, the SLT has got an enhanced brake surface, and this is the Aero A1 brake surface, which comes with a laser edge groove. Now, simply put, if you take a closer look, it is just a lot of lines that is engraved onto this brake surface, and this actually helps the water to run away quicker, and so it works better on even on wet conditions. And as first time users, do take note that for carbon wheels, especially for these rim brakes, it needs to go with carbon brake pads, and Elite Wheels actually give you a pair of carbon brake pads to go with a rim brake wheel sets. These are Pillar 1423 Aero spokes, and they are straight pull. As for the lacing pattern, on the drive side of the rear wheel, we have a 2-cross pattern, and they are all together 16 spokes. As for the non-drive side, we have 8 spokes laced in a radial pattern. Same spokes are being used on the front wheel, but it's got 10 spokes on each side, and both are laced in radial pattern. The hub is Elite's own RA18 hub for rim brakes, and as mentioned before, the SLT model comes with ceramic bearing. We are using Taiwanese S&S ceramic bearing. The free hub body we have here is compatible with Shimano HT 10 to 11 speed. In fact, I have used 12 speed and it fits as well. So let's take a look at the inside of the free hub body. This is the traditional pawl and ratchet system, and it has got 4 pawls, and all the bearings are S&S ceramic bearings. 2 on the free hub body and 2 on the wheel hub itself. As you can see, after 2,000 kilometers of riding, there is some bite marks on the free hub body. It's not that bad, to be honest. It's really light marks. The pawls are still working well. The springs are all fine, and it springs up very easily, so there's no blockage. Right, so overall, I think the condition here inside the hub is in a very good shape after 2,000 kilometers of riding, and that goes to show that the rubber seals that have been used here are really doing their work and effectively in blocking out water seeping in, as well as dust and sand. However, if you are thinking of to service this free hub body yourself, you may experience a bit of difficulty removing this, and I will explain to you in the later part of this video. The hub sound, well, yep, I believe most of you will be keen to find out. Now, personally, I find that it's a bit on the loud side, but the second opinion is from Brian, who thinks that it's just nice. So I think this is really up to individual opinion, but I'll let you decide for yourself. Here you go. But I did mention earlier on that the plan was to fit a 25mm tire, and here we've got a GP 5000 25mm tire. And just to give you an idea of how this tire sits on the wheel and what is the width of the tire, after fitting onto this rim that has an inner width of 17mm, my 25mm tire, when fitted on this wheel, is exactly 25mm. The tire and the rim is actually flushed, and there aren't much of an obvious gap. You don't really see the tire ballooning up. So this is what I really like, because when you have a flush surface, it can improve the aerodynamics. Now let's just take a look at the actual weight of these wheel sets. The front wheel weighs 762.1 grams, and the rear wheel weighs 943.3 grams. Alright, so the factory specification says the pair of wheel will weigh 1,675 grams, and the actual weight itself is 1,705.4 grams as we measured. So how does this pair of wheels fare in actual performance wise? Now, if you have watched my first impression video on riding these Elite wheels some 1.5 years ago, you can see how thrilled I was when I first hopped onto the bike that is fitted with this pair of wheels. Now, the difference was really significant. My average speed improved by 2 to 3 kilometers simply because I switched to carbon wheel sets. And that is because these wheel sets are stiffer than the alloy wheel sets, and also at the same time they are deeper. Because of that, it's more aerodynamic, so it holds the speed better, and at the same time it's much more lighter than my alloy wheels. That is the surprising point, because they are deeper and yet they are still lighter by about 200 grams as compared to my low profile alloy wheels. Other than the speed that I'm getting from it, I also get a whole lot of improvement in terms of comfort. So these carbon wheel sets, they are better in dampening the vibration picked up from the road as compared to my alloy wheels, and as a result, for longer rides they become much more comfortable, and I don't feel like straining or tiredness on the arms, especially now for longer rides. Even as a beginner or someone who's relatively inexperienced in riding, you can straight away tell the difference by switching out from an alloy wheel to a carbon wheel set like this. And about these 50mm deep rims, now, though it is widely considered as the all-rounder rim depth, however, for me, I was a little bit worried at the start because it is by far the deepest rim that I've used. And well, I'm glad that on roads like with strong crosswind, even like on TMCR, I was still able to handle the bike really well. So if the rim depth really concerns you and makes you worry, then hope that this piece of information can help you. So from my experience, it is easy to handle even on a 50mm. Alright, so if you look at the wheels in general, I think it is holding up very well. Just look at it, it looks really new, and there aren't much of even scratch marks. There's no corrosion, everything is holding up so well. And even the brake surface, if you can take a closer look, the laser edge lines are still there. It's still braking very well, and you don't see any damage on the braking surface. So this is the rear wheel, and as you can see, it is still very true, and it is within 0.5 mm of lateral movement, and that is considered very good. And now we are on the note of maintenance. For those of you who are keen to do your own servicing and maintenance, especially on the wheel hub itself, well, this is a warning for you. You will face the difficulty of opening up this hub. So you need to use 2 Allen keys and 1 on each of the XL end cap. Okay, and you will attempt to remove this end cap by turning it anti-clockwise. Okay, however, you will only be able to remove the one on the non-drive side, but the end cap on the drive side will still remain inside. Okay, so to remove the other end cap, you need a special tool to sit here and keep the XL in position. Otherwise, you won't be able to remove the other end cap. Right, so if you do not have a special tool to remove this, well, I think the better option is to send it to a bike mechanic instead. But other than the maintenance part, is there any other downsides to this pair of wheel sets? Some people argue that the weight is too heavy. I mean, for a pair of wheel set, it weighs 1,700 grams. It is on the heavier side of a carbon wheel set. However, if you ask me, I can live with that because of the price tag. So we paid about 630 Singapore dollars, that is about 460 USD for this pair of wheel sets. And at this price point, I think I really cannot ask for super lightweight wheel sets. We have to consider the price to weight ratio because we know that in the carbon world, the lighter is definitely going to be a lot more expensive. If you're talking about the price to weight ratio for this wheel set, I think we're getting a very good deal here. Here's also another note for those of you who are thinking to fit a tubeless tire. Now, I have ever worked on another pair of Elite Wheels SLT, same model, but with a narrower inner width, the 15.6 mm inner width, and I had difficulty trying to pump up the tire and let them sit well on the rim. So if you're thinking of going tubeless, I think it's more advisable to go at least 17 mm inner width. In conclusion, what do I think of the Elite Wheels SLT carbon wheel set? I can think of a way to describe this wheel set, and that is this is the people's wheel set. If you look at the price tag, it is easily the most affordable entry-level wheel set in the market right now, and it is well built and it's durable. So I really have to give credit to Elite Wheels because what they have done is that they have made it more accessible for riders to enjoy the benefits of carbon wheel sets. So especially for riders who are still using alloy wheels, and in my opinion, upgrading it to carbon wheel sets will give you the most significant gain in terms of performance and comfort. Right, so that's all I've got for you today. Let us know what do you think about this wheel set, and something is just out of my curiosity. Are there any of you out there still using rim brakes like us? Alright, so thank you very much for watching. See you.